What's up, my little gingerlings, and welcome to the Ginger Chronicles. I got my buddy Mark Dethicus with me, and joining us today over here is my boy Kenny Walker. Kenny, what's up, man? How you doing?
Doing good, man. Just hanging and playing. That's all I really can do right now. So
Yeah, me and Mark worked with Kenny at Rip. Well, Mark still does, but worked with Kenny downtown Ripley's Honky Tonk downtown Broadway. But Kenny, you also we were having a little discussion before we came on here. You also play downtown. What do you play as far as in the band? What instrument do you play? Put it that way.
downtown, I play bass mostly for
Okay.
people. Pretty much that's all I do. But I also have my own original band. We don't play downtown, but we play like around Nashville. YEARLØVE, and we've been together for a while. But I'm just now breaking into like the music scene, like on Broadway, and actually kind of capitalizing on my skills as a bass player down there.
Hell yeah! So Year Love, that's the name of the your band though, right?
Of my band, yeah.
Because I know downtown a lot of artists downtown like they'll be interchangeable in bands lots of times because you have certain people who may play in a band all the time that can't play certain gigs, so then you'll have like stand-ins or whatever.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Year Love, are you guys on Spotify? I mean, do you have music out there for people to actually look up and listen to?
Yeah, we actually just released an EP this year. It's called
Okay.
All the Grace in the World in Your Eyes. It's about 7 songs, I believe, 6, 7 songs, and we just released it. It got a little bit of radio play down here on 1029 The Buzz. And we're hoping to kind of break into some other scenes and stuff. And like while we're promoting that EP, COVID kind of put a stop to it. Like right when we released it, everything kind of shut down, and so we're like, and once we get back into playing, that's going to be our main thing, is just promoting that while we continue to write new stuff.
What style of music?
The style of music YEARLØVE is particularly is it's like indie pop, I would say. It's kind of a cross between like the 1975 and like Kings of Leon, where you have like that pop
Okay.
to it, but it's got a little bit of an edge to it as well.
Nice. Yeah, I definitely have to check that out. So yeah, those y'all listening, remember Spotify, Year Love, check them out. I'm sure you can also probably find stuff on YouTube as well.
Yeah.
And
Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff.
hell yeah, so definitely check out Year Love. So as far as downtown goes, man, like how long have you been performing downtown?
Actually, not too long. I've been playing bass myself for a while, since I was 18 years old, and I played guitar when I was 16, and then got into bass when I was 18. And I've been, pretty consistent player. I've never really entertained the ideas of playing downtown until this past like 2 years. So I actually moved here in September, and that was actually around the time I got the call from John saying that he needed someone to play bass for a guy that he was working with over at Kid Rocks. And I've been playing, ever since September, really. And I love it, man. I'm still waiting for it to feel like work, but it just feels like hanging out, pretty much, just playing covers.
Well, hopefully, it never feels like work.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah, I noticed like because I remember I loved working downtown. I mean, just interacting with Mark made the face on that one, but just interacting with like all the different artists, you could always tell that they definitely enjoyed it, man. I mean, hell, when you're doing what you love like that, I mean, how could it be work, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and even though it's not like our songs, like our band songs that I'm like performing, like it's still fun to see the crowd react and to interact with them and have that like rapport with them on stage. I haven't really been like a front man for anything down there, but sometimes when the front person has to go and pass the tip bucket around, I'll go up there, sing a couple songs, talk to the crowd, and it's kind of, I'm bringing that experience of like that crowd interaction to my original band, like with YEARLØVE, and like trying to make sure my banter and stage performance and presence is a little bit more on par with the standard out there. It's really cool. Good learning experience.
Hell yeah, that's called growing, man. I mean, like, that's smart because you're downtown, you're around all these different artists who, and like I said, I'm sure you're also definitely one of those guys that goes helps out another gig when one pops up.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, you meet new people all the time, get advice from a lot of people. Then yeah, like you said, take that back to your band, man. Let y'all grow from there. 2020 has definitely sucked, as far as for musicians.
Mm-hmm.
Now, at first, I noticed a lot of downtown artists were recording on Facebook, doing a lot of live streams and stuff. Did you get into that, or was that beneficial at all to you while everything was shut down earlier this year?
Yeah, so our manager, Fallon Simmons, she's been with us for about 3 years now. She's actually been doing really good. I always try to give her props because she's been doing a good job of keeping us busy for considering everything's shut down. Like we've been doing live streams. We've been able to do some interviews. We did as well as getting airplay on 102 Not in the Buzz. We got to do an interview with Andy Heron over there, which was really really cool. Um, and she's been getting us on podcasts and stuff like that. So she's been keeping us busy. We did have one gig over at Daddy's Dogs. It was a socially distanced gig where they just had people show up in their cars. We kind of played on top of this like shipping container, I guess, that was really elevated. And
Oh, that's
really,
awesome.
yeah, man. And it was actually we were kind of surprised. Like there was a lot of really great talent out there. There's a lot of really good bands. Like we would get done with our set, and then we would hear the other band and be like, "Dude, like I'm looking this band up." Like it was every other and like all the other bands were just like, "Damn, like we have a lot of good bands out tonight." So I always give her credit, man. She's been keeping us busy, and it's been great working with her.
Nice.
Hmm. Yeah, man. What about you guys? Like, I know Mark's still working there, and you're working at UPS and everything. Has it been pretty much like steady the whole, through that kind of, environment and everything?
Well, I mean, when I first moved out here, I was working at a restaurant, and so I moved out here back in July. I guess I started working there like mid to late July.
Mm-hmm.
It was busy at first, man. It was great. I mean, I was making great money. Of course, not as great as downtown Nashville, but I mean, it's still great.
Yeah.
And then out of nowhere, man, it started getting. I want to say beginning of October, it started getting real slow, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe late September,
Yeah.
and yeah, everything just slowed down. I guess people, I don't know, people just getting more cautious. Where I was working, Broadway downtown is all tourist.
Mm-hmm.
So people aren't traveling to town, which unfortunately is probably one of the problems right now. Uh, it's not going to be busy.
Yeah.
Where I was at was more of a local spot, and it was a real good local spot. So I want to say when everything started slowing down, I'm sure COVID had a lot to do with it. I'm sure with school starting back had a lot to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then like I said before, I got COVID beginning of November. I was out of work for almost 2 weeks, and in that time, luckily, FedEx called, started working for them. And,
Mm.
it's been pretty good. I mean, I can't complain. I got something that I know is not going to. I mean, the only way something like that gets shut down is if they just try to tell everybody to stay in their house, and
Mm-hmm.
which ain't gonna happen. I mean, so I lucked out. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's grueling as hell, dude. I was telling Mark earlier, I was like, I'm 6 days a week, 10 hours, 10 to 11 hours a day. I get off work. I feel like just playing out shit. And I'm in bed usually before 9:30.
Yeah, man. Now I hear you. Well, it is. I'm sure it's rough, especially like UPS. One of those few that like them construct anything in the mail, construction, stuff like that. Like they still go, or they're still firing on all four cylinders right now. So, you know,
Yep.
mailing more than anything, like Amazon, anything that has to do with like ordering stuff online. Like, I'm sure y'all are busy, busy, busy right now.
Oh, dude, the other day, I think it was yesterday, I was finishing up my route and it was already dark. So, I'm trying to look for these addresses. And I look, and on one side of the street is an Amazon driver, and on the other side is another Amazon driver.
Yeah, man. Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah, they're
funny as
getting
hell.
through it right now, man.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
what I
yeah.
plan on doing is actually going for the position at Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'm going to be going for driver.
Yeah.
Probably try to work like in the factory or distribution plant. Because when I had COVID, like I had it a little before Derek did, and I still haven't fully recovered like financially from it. Like just being out 2 weeks, like put me so fucking far behind. And then on top of that, us slowing down and cutting hours and shit.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I can't imagine. Like that's the one. Like it is kind of a trade off. Like, you know, when you go for like an hourly job, you do have the security of knowing you make a certain amount. Whereas, you know, with the musicians downtown, like a worker, I guess, you know, since most of our money comes, like you can make a varying amount. You know, like some days it'll be slow, but other days, man, you just get like those one or two tables that just keep throwing money in there. Then you
Mhm.
walk out, everyone in the band made over $100. Like, oh, okay, that was pretty good shift. You know, so it's, you know, it's very interesting. You know, we all have our ways of trying to make it all work right now.
Also, I'd like to apologize for any slamming doors you hear. My nephews are around.
Oh, really?
I was wondering what was going on, man.
They're
Someone
about to
dying over
they're
there.
they're about to get some NyQuil put in.
Uh,
Jesus. I don't think that's something you should say on the air. I'm just saying.
Shit, we ain't lying.
oh man, we'll edit that out. Scrub that out.
Yeah, sure we will.
Look, every parent or uncle has thought it. If you say you haven't, you're fucking lying.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Okay.
so how's everything else been going for you, man? The music, other than the music and work and stuff. What else been going on? Anything else new?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing this year, which I feel is kind of ironic, which kind of, you know, it's one of those things like hindsight is 2020. Like at the beginning of the lockdowns, I had just started over at Rippy's, and
Right, I remember
we
that.
worked a couple of weekends, and then we shut down for like however many weeks. And I remember like I was very depressing. Like I mean, granted, I made it through, and you know, but like the first half of quarantine was just I would like wake up, turn on Netflix, just eat and just drink whiskey, and then just like eventually like fall back to sleep. Like it was awful. And then like the second half, I was like, all right, I can't keep doing this. I tried to like, you know, get out and exercise and stuff, like do something healthy for me. But ever since I moved to Nashville, I feel like it's made like the year for me. Like I got a call from my roommate Brant, or my now roommate Brant. He's like, hey man, I got this house I've been looking at. I need some roommates. Do you and Sean want to come up? And I'm like, heck yeah, that'd be great. And ever since then, though, man, like being here and just being a part of the energy, even with everything going on, like it's kind of turned the year around for me. Like I feel like in hindsight, it was probably good that I moved here now, as opposed to having played here for years and then having to go through this. It would be a completely different like scenario. Like I've made a lot more friends. You know, I've been able to actually hang out with people because I don't live, you know, 30, 45 minutes away. Like it's nice being in city limits and actually being able to, you know, have ideas and like kind of chase them, whether it's with your band or on Broadway or something, and like be in that environment where it's just like, you know, really good positive vibes and vibes that like encourage you to kind of get out and like, you know, do something, you know, do stuff. So I would say like it's been as crappy as this year has been, like the fact that I've moved here of all times when I did, like it actually kind of made things a lot easier. Like it kind of is the big, this is the thing that pretty much saved my year. Like, you know, I would have been like, man, this year was a bit bust, but moving here, it's been like, okay, it's turned the whole thing around for me.
Yeah,
I
that's trial
imagine,
by fire right there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or I imagine too that you starting off like this, kind of seeing Broadway at its worst.
Hmm.
Like, really, there's nothing to look forward to, but just going up. Like,
That's very true. Well, one of the guys that I started that kind of got that actually he was very instrumental in getting me in where I'm at right now. Brad Wolf. He was the guy I first started talking to. Like I'll talk to him after gigs and let him know, hey, I play bass, you know, and I've been learning a lot of this stuff. He had a really good point. He was like, you know, it is crappy right now because it's, you know, kind of there's not as many people down here and stuff. But the thing is, all the musicians that were here before are gone, and they're gonna need people like as soon as like once things start picking back up next summer, like they're going to be hurting for people. So if you get in now, you're going to be the first person to call, you know, or get called, you know, for all these other gigs that are going to be opening up next year. So that's the thing I'm waiting for. I'm like, gotta wait a couple more months, man. Just like make it through the winter and the spring, you know. Then wait for March Madness to hit. You know, more and more people be out. The vaccine will be hopefully, you know, on its way to being distributed to everyone, you know, and you know, I can get back out there and just do my thing.
dude, I guarantee if the Bridgestone alone is open back up next summer, the
Mm-hmm.
amount of money you'll make playing some gigs, you'll need to change your pants every 4 hours.
Yeah, I can imagine, dude. They said it was pretty great, like on average. And I drove for Uber a couple years back, And I would talk to musicians about it, just about the money that they would make down there. And they're like, yeah, they'd average anywhere from 150 to 250 a gig, and that's like, gigs are 4 hours, and a lot of times you would work more than one gig. So I mean, you know, damn near $500 a day. That's not bad at all. Just to go out there and play for a little bit. So, especially on those like 10, what was it, 6 to 10s and 10s to 2s, like those are the money shifts. Like those are a little crazy, but like everyone's been partying all day. They want to keep it going. You get in there at that sweet spot, and that wallet becomes a little bit more loose. Like people start to money a little bit easier. So.
Like last summer working patio, because I'd almost strictly work patio during the summertime. I've seen people just in a row, just like take out wads of 20s on like a Saturday night and just 20, 20, 20. Oh, here's a 50, here's 100. It's fucking ridiculous, like what people throw in there.
Like a high class stripper.
Yeah. And this was a little bit before my time, but Derek might remember. I think he might have been the one who told me, like, before, like, because it's $20 a song for a request and all that. But then someone else would be like, no, here's $20 to not play that song. Yeah. And someone else, like, here's $20 to not play that song, play this song. And literally like just rack up and up. People like, no, don't play that song. It's like
I've always heard singers make that joke in jest where it's like, give us $20 to play any song you want, or you give us $20 and we'll stop playing whatever we're playing.
I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
There's a few times I've been tempted, like, dude, I'll give you 30 to stop right now.
So Kenny, actually, that brings up another question. Because me and Mark, we've talked about some of the craziest shit we've seen, especially working downtown Nashville. Like the one time I saw the chick from Boston get hog-tied on the sidewalk. And we've had other people on who've had some crazy shit. What's some of the most craziest things you've seen? I mean, because you see it from both ends. You work in one of the restaurants, and then you also play gigs. So you see it through two different sides. So what's some of the craziest shit you've seen?
I'm still waiting for it. I feel like though I'm gonna get a lot more stories like once things start like kicking back up. But I'm trying to think of anything that's happened to me recently, anything crazy. So here's one. So we had I think it was like last month sometime I was playing, and we had this dude come up, and like it's actually this guy, his table paid us $100 to let him come up on stage and sing. And the whole time he's walking up there, he's like trudging, like, and he's like, you can tell he doesn't want to do it. Like he gets up on stage and he's talking to me and the band. He's like, guys, I'm sorry, like I'm not a great singer. Like they're hassling me right now. Please, like, just like they wanted him to do a Fat Bottom Girl by Queen. Like, yeah, we'll just get through it, whatever. And I'm like being encouraged. I'm like, man, don't worry about it. You got two singers right here. We're just gonna have fun. That's all we're gonna do. And so as soon as we get that song started, this guy rips it. Like he's got this really strong like rasp. Like he's just like, oh, you gonna take me home? And the whole place is just like, yeah, like freaking out. And I'm like, what is happening right now? He rips it the whole time. As he's walking away, I'm giving him high fives. I'm like, man, that's the easiest $100 I've ever made. I love that. So,
that's the most expensive karaoke session ever, probably.
Goddamn right.
But hey, man, I'm willing to take that money. So even if he was terrible, I'll be like, hey, $100 is $100. Like, well, 2 minutes, but he knocked it out of the park. And we had him get up here, and we had another guy. It was a Halloween night. He paid $40 to play a Voodoo Child. But the funny thing was, he was actually dressed like Jimi Hendrix. He had the glasses, hair, like all of that shit.
You almost had the hair too.
Yeah. He brought his own guitar and everything, man. I'm like, dude, we'll play. He paid us. He Venmoed us $40. Like, heck yeah, dude, get up here. Played it and sung it. He was left-handed too. I was like, oh, that's pretty dope, and the crowd loved it. So that's probably been one of the more like cooler things that happens on Broadway. Like every now and then, someone will come up and it'll just, either it's someone that we know or just like a random person that just from out of town. Like they'll come up and they'll do great, man. I love it. It's awesome.
So what kind of like, as far as like, because everybody know, anybody that's ever been to Nashville, they know that you get the most shittiest drunk you've probably ever been in your life downtown Nashville. So what's some of the most craziest drunk stories have you seen from people, not you, because I'm sure you've got plenty. But as far as you've seen some of the tourists down there, what's some of the most craziest shit you've seen them do while they're drunk?
Man, dude, it's always the tables from like South Florida that are like either like partying too hard or like they just
Miami.
like normally it's not a problem. Like we love having them up, but like just the whole like you can't dance and everything like that. But like we've had some tables from like South Florida be like really cool, and they'll try to get us drunk. And like the last I think it was this past weekend we had a table from South Florida, and they came up. They're really cool. They were pretty respectful though, but they were like buying us like round after round, and we're like, like it's like 11 a.m. right now, man. But as far as anyone getting crazy, uh, I've seen probably 2.5 people like eat it on those stairs at Rippy's, like coming down the stairs when they were like just so like, whew, like, and I never catch them at the beginning of it. It's always like mid like fall they're going down like, or they're like at the last like flight of stairs going down, and they just I'm like, oh no, but this but yeah, man, I haven't as far as like people getting super drunk. Like I always feel like they get kicked out before I can actually like they can like like security's usually pretty on it. Like if they see someone's getting a little shitty, they're like, nah, we gotta like we're gonna nip this in the butt. So
fucking Browns fans last night, I about wanted to Spartan kick out the patio.
Oh really?
It took me 10 minutes to clean one table. That's how fucking filthy it was.
Dude, yeah, man. Like busting tables at that place, kind of like people be getting terrible, like messy at those tables, man. Just like kids at these tables, like it's awful.
Well, see, they did all it because they got kicked out for running around and doing stupid shit. It's like I get it. It's a bar. You want to be able to talk to people and walk around. It's like I understand, but it's like city rules right now. Sorry, we don't like it either. But
I'm sure it's probably worse than Cleveland right now.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
And a lot colder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I started like getting kicked out and started like throwing like empty beers and slinging beer bottles around, literally taking the nacho trays and dumping it. I'm just
wow.
It's like I'll go to jail. I don't care.
That is one thing I fantasized about. Like if things were ever to line up for the band and we were able to actually like, if we were to get super to the point where we played Brick, just to be over there and just be like in the middle of the show, be like, yeah, I used to work across the street from here, man. I used to clean up puke and everything. It was great.
I've probably cleaned up after a bunch of y'all.
Exactly. Shout out to Marco Christian, blah blah, Jesus. That'd be awesome. But yeah, dude, it is very eye opening, but it's also, what I wish somebody had told me when I was younger was like how much money there really is down there, even for like busting tables or like food running. Like you can make really good money at that little strip alone, But everyone always encouraged me. They were like, "No, service industry is like it's terrible. Nobody wants to work service industry." But I get down there, I'm like, really not that bad. Like it's pretty fine,
Nobody wants to.
I mean, I was about to say, it's like the money's good. I don't want to be there.
Exactly. But it's like it's not like it's worth the money though. Once you walk out with them like that tip out, you're like oof. Like,
oh yeah, like my first summer, I was easily bringing home as a busser $1,000 a week.
Yeah, I could totally see that, man. I could totally.
Because I was like that was when there was like what 3 bussers. There's me, Matt, Jared, and I
believe so.
I can't remember the other dude's name. He only worked on like a Wednesday.
Yeah, I think you bring home $1,000 a week. Imagine how much the servers and bartenders are bringing home.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man.
I miss that pre-COVID money, man. I wouldn't be living in Colorado right now if it hadn't been for COVID.
Right.
Yeah, man. Dude, yeah. I mean, it'll eventually get back there. I mean, I don't think things will ever be quite the same, but I think it will eventually get to that point where we're like, we're making that money again, or we're comfortable with the money that we're making.
Right.
It's a matter of time, just hanging in there, man. Just just waiting for everything to settle, for the whole thing to just play out. That's all you got to do. So.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think it's gonna be definitely after winter time. Because wintertime, the colder it gets, the more cases are going to spike. I don't know if everything will go to a complete shutdown and lockdown like what happened earlier in the year. But as far as the restaurant industry, especially, I mean, hell, where I live right now in Colorado, all the restaurants are shut down.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I see that continuing on probably up until probably around March or April.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully they're not. Hopefully the industry isn't destroyed and so much to where it can't rebound after that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I feel like if they really let it get to that point, like they're gonna have like sweeping like legislation to like rectify it because you can't just have like so many people just out of like evicted, out of work, all that stuff, and like not being able to do anything. Like that's not that's not sustainable for a very long amount of time. So part of me feels like everyone's dragging their feet up top, but it's like once that reality hits of like how terrible of a decision that is to drag your feet, they're like, oh, okay, like we can't, like it's gonna take certain people losing a certain amount of money really quick for them to be like,
Yeah.
okay, we can't do this. So like we have to, and nobody wants to be in this position right now. Like I would much rather work for my money than have some like than to have my tax dollars back to me. I'd much rather work for it, but getting to that point where you know it's looking more and more like there's no other option.
Oh yeah, I mean they're definitely going to do another stimulus bailout to help out the American people and help out the
Oh,
economy. That's
Oh
for
yeah.
sure.
mm-hmm,
There's too many. I mean, I've considered myself blessed and lucky that I've found ways to, I guess, like not be crippled by the situation,
mm-hmm,
by what's going on. I've been lucky and fortunate enough to land opportunities where there's a lot of people who haven't been that lucky,
mm-hmm,
who are struggling. I mean, a lot of people right now have been struggling all year to the point where they're losing their place, they're where they live. They just and the Christmas is coming up, which is making it even harder.
mm-hmm,
Those people, need it more than anything. So even though personally I don't need a bailout,
mm-hmm.
I feel like I've been able to survive and handle my own. That may be me, but
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't mean everybody else is that way.
Yeah,
So I know there's a lot of people out there struggling right now that need something. They need some kind of bailout, something to help them out.
yeah, man. I mean, and that's the thing is like we as I feel like it's a very Western culture to think about just like the individuals and stuff, but this is one of those times really not conducive to think that way. Like we have to think about everyone. Like we have to understand that like you know everyone like if so many of us are losing, then the rest of us are gonna feel that too. Like we have to be able to like float everyone right now and just kind of keep things propped up for the time being, even if it does come at the even if it does come out of taxes and stuff like that. Like it has
Yeah.
to, like it's one of those. It's not really a black and white situation like a lot of people like to think it is. Like it's very much a gray area, and I think sometimes it just this isn't the first time in history we've had to make exceptions to these rules to like just keep the game going. So when you look at like the bailouts we did for GM and all these other like places, as controversial as it was, when you think, well, they made those bad decisions,
It was
and
better than when they bailed out the banks.
yeah,
GM at least repaid.
mm-hmm,
They repaid their loans with interest in
yeah,
record time.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And in 2009, when Obama was able to get the stimulus package through to help out the American people,
mm-hmm,
what happened? The American people, the ones who aren't anywhere near six figures, they got money. What they do? They put it back in the economy by spending it into
exactly,
the economy. That's
mm-hmm,
what happens. Like a lot of people don't understand. If you bail out the American people instead of bailing out all these big corporations, I
mm-hmm,
mean, the economy will rebound because those people will run and put that money right back into the economy
yeah,
Mhm.
and keep the economy going
mm-hmm,
when it's struggling.
yeah,
Meanwhile, if you just bail out all the corporations and stuff, all they're going to do, I mean, hell, there were so many of them, billion-dollar companies that took
mm-hmm,
SBA loans.
mm-hmm,
All these small mom and pop small businesses were dying out because you had all these billion-dollar companies.
mm-hmm,
Like, taking loans and stuff. I mean, sports companies taking loans. I'm sorry, if you're a $1 billion company, you should have enough money put aside to where you don't need to take a
Exactly.
loan to
Exactly.
Well,
survive for a year.
they would quit pocketing it.
Yeah, man. And I think that, this is very much a testament to, it's really challenging the way that Americans have thought for many, many years, because like you're seeing a lot of these policies being enacted, in favor of like the individual, but you also see the rest of the world like kind of falling as a result, like falling out as a result of it. So people are really starting to be challenged to starting to rethink like, oh, maybe this wasn't, maybe this isn't the way that it should be, and I think it's good. I think that change will, the only constant in this reality is change, and I think it's like you're either on board with it or you get left behind, one of the two. So, and I think I have faith, in America that enough of us will be on board for that change. Like we've already seen, a lot of people, a lot of individuals voice their concerns and what they think, and I think you know, I think this will be a good learning experience for us in the long run, as far as like the practicality of certain ideas, and philosophies.
Mark, got anything else you want to discuss or any questions for Kenny or anything?
I was trying to think about. Actually, I did have one.
Yeah.
Any plans? Like, obviously, can't really do it right now because of the whole stuff shutting down. Any plans on like touring in the future?
Well, yeah. So we're trying to once things open back up. We've done a lot of touring like throughout. Well, we're starting to do more touring. Last year we had our first week-long tour. We did a lot of Florida, Atlanta, South Carolina, North Carolina. We're trying to get stuff lined up for the North. So eventually we'll be hitting like New York and like places up like Virginia, places up there. Our plan long term is to eventually like start a tour route all over the East Coast, so we can hit a bunch of these cities and like make it a regular thing and kind of get our name out there. COVID did kind of put a halt to that, but I think once things open back up again, that's kind of where we're going to pick up. Is extending that tour route, and kind of reestablishing those connections that we made, and making it like a year, probably like a quarterly thing where we go out for a week and come back, go out for another week and come back, because that's contrary to a lot of belief, that's really where a lot of people are made in the industry is on the road. Like
Oh, definitely.
they make it about just like, oh, I just have to meet the right people and they'll help me out, but they don't really, they're always quick to ask who they need to meet or who that person is they're going to meet. It's going to change things, but it's very rare that they're asking themselves, well, what do I bring to the table? Like, what am I going to do for these people when I do meet them? Because I mean, say you meet, this big, Lady Gaga's, manager or booking agent or something like that. If you go to them and they're like, oh, I got a band too, the first thing that's going to come in their mind is like, well, why haven't I heard of you yet? Like that's going to be their thing. It's like they have to think, like what could I do for those people that I'll eventually meet, So and that's kind of what we're going for, is we're trying to cultivate our own fan base so that when those people do run into us, they'll be like, oh, okay, they've been on the road for 3-4 years now. They've actually got a decent following. Probably make some money off of these people, like let's see if we can cut something with them. So
yeah, I mean, you have to be worth the investment.
Exactly. And a lot of people make it about certain things. Like, yeah, you do have to play the game a little bit, but I think the biggest thing that people resonate with is your authenticity as people and like as artists. If they resonate with that, I think that matters a little bit more than, I guess, the what kind of music it is or the quality of said music. Like if you're bringing in, if you've got those numbers, and if you've been out there and it's picking up and there's something growing around you, you just, all you gotta do is keep tilling that field, and then wait for the crop.
You got to make sure you're worth the investment of just like, our viewers' time.
Yeah, for real. Well, and y'all are doing the right thing too. Like you have a regular, like you're regularly putting out content, which is something a lot of people, they're just like, oh, they want to put out that one video that's going to go viral, but you don't know which of these podcasts is going to like, you look on your app like, oh, wow, this actually got a lot of spins. You never know which one. So it's just about consistently like putting that podcast out there and getting a couple followers here, a couple sponsors there. And then before you know it, it's actually like a thing. It's a business,
Yeah, I definitely want to look at it more of definitely quality over quantity. Because we haven't really been putting out stuff regularly. Like I've been doing a lot more. He's been doing a lot more of his Twitch streaming. I've been doing more of my Twitch streaming. So we haven't really been putting a lot of podcast episodes out lately. But that's because hell, whenever we do, I want to make sure it's actually something, like I said, quality wise.
Yeah.
Instead of just be posting content just to be posting content. Mark, did you have anything else? Did you want bring up or talk about?
Yeah, for you real quick, Kenny, does the band have a website or a group like Twitter or Instagram or anything like that? Or like when you do start touring?
Yeah, so the website that we have is YEARLØVEmusic.com. That's kind of like a one-stop shop for like all of our social media, our Spotify. We also have we just came out with a new line of merchandise on there as well. We got some hoodies and stuff for the winter. Really cool looking. I don't know, like I usually leave that stuff to my guitar player and manager because they have like a sense of style that's like really, really good. So like it looks great, man. They did a really good job on it. So they collaborated with some clothing people and stuff, and it looks really good. So, but yeah, YEARLØVEmusic.com. You can check us out. Check out YEARLØVE on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Spotify. We're on Apple Music as well, and YouTube, on all the social media.
Awesome.
Yeah, we need to get you and the rest of the band on sometime, man. Like especially when stuff starts opening back up, y'all get to touring more.
Yeah, dude, we would love that. Yeah, it's been a little bit busy for everyone this week. I talked to the guys and they, had stuff they had to do, unfortunately, but they are open to eventually coming in for a podcast. I think it'd be really
nice.
Cool.
Hell yeah. Well, man, I've enjoyed having you on today, bro. It's good seeing you again, talking to you and catching up.
For real, man. It's been good being here, man. I appreciate you guys thinking of me.
Yeah, so all you guys listening, like I said, YEARLØVEmusic.com. Check them out. Check out YEARLØVE on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. I'm gonna post some links in the description as well for everybody to check out. And like I said, Kenny, thanks for joining us again today. Mark, and for me, we will be seeing you guys later. Take it easy.
See ya.